Kadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Bava Kamma Daf Amud Aleph 96a1. We were talking about that there was not going to be a question. Ravina comes and he tells, right? He comes and he answers in a different way, right? So this is Rav Ashi answering to Ravina. Lakashia, there's no contradiction. Hadimasik bi kashur arav v'shibcha. The Malve is actually coming and he's, lending the mocher karka, right, with the shiur which is with the shevach, right, for the chov, which means with the appreciation. And this is only the shiur of the karka without the shevach. Remember, the shevach is the appreciation with it or not. So it's with the land by itself or the land with the appreciation. Says the Gemara, Elmaleh, says Ravina to Rav Ashi, Hani chalaman damar. This is good according to the man damar. It lezuze la lokeach lo matzi mesalek le balchov shapin. That even if the lokeach has money, he cannot take away the balchov from the karka, right, which is mishubad by paying money. So then it's actually going to be good, which means even though the chov is only according to the erech of the karka without shevach, still the balchov could come and basically just pay it off. And that's it, and he can actually take the karka. So then that makes sense. Everyone understood what's going on? One more time. Somebody comes and he borrows and he has money by somebody else. He has to collect, the balchov has to collect from the karka. So can you just say, listen, I bought the field, so I could just come and just pay him the money? Or do I say that he has the right to actually come and take part of the field? What do you say? So says Ravina to Rav Ashi, it's good according to the Manda Amar, Sheim yesh lo kesef la lokeach, right? That if he's got that, even if he does have money, lo matzi misalek lebalchov, that he cannot take it away, meaning he cannot just come and just pay him off the money v'gamarnu. So then it makes sense. But according to the Manda Amar that says that if he has money, he could just pay him the money and tell him, hasta la vista. So Elmaleh, why doesn't he just tell him, if I would have had money, I would get rid of you from the entire land. Hashta now, havli giruya de ara shiur shibchai, right? Which means give me at least the chilkat adama, which is a shevach, which I actually did, right? And therefore, right, that means even though you're going to come and you're going to take away the field, at least I should have the shevach, which is going to be the appreciation. So Elmaleh comes and he says, what are we dealing with? Kegon the shavya nihale. What does that mean? We're talking about where the love came and he made an aputiki. You remember that aputiki is something that basically you're going to collect from this. So leduma, ani lokeach halva mincha, right? I'm going to take halva, but I tell you, you're going to collect from this field or this object. That's called an aputiki. It's a lien on a certain object. That's an aputiki. So he comes and he says, the Elmaleh that he says, lo yelecha piraon ela mizeh. The only thing that you're able to collect to is from this. This is the only thing that you could actually come and you could collect from. Okay? So Amar Rava comes and he says, Gazal v'yishbiach, right? V'machar. V'gazal v'yishbiach v'orish. Right? Imagine right now a person comes and he steals an object and then he makes it better and he sells it. Okay? Or if he steals an object and then it goes up in value, he makes it better. Right? And then afterwards, the guy dies. So he gives it over to the children. Mashishbiach machar, mashishbiach orish. He didn't sell the object. He only sold mashishbiach, right? And that's it. Or he only inherited to his children mashishbiach. So let me give you the case, right? For example, somebody comes and he steals a car. It was a second-hand car. It was alapanim. He comes and he puts a new engine, a new thing, and he makes it mamash like almost brand new. And then he comes and he sells it. What he sold was only the appreciation value. So to me, לפני כן זה היה שווה, בוא נגיד, $10,000. עכשיו זה שווה $15,000. $15,000. זה מה שהשביח, זה מה שהוא מכר. Whatever went up in value, that's what he sold. The same thing happens if he inherits. So for example, he comes and he steals, right? The same car. He puts $2,000, puts a new engine, boom, it goes up in value. The guy dies. It's a Yerusha to the children. The children only inherited the 5,000.
דבר שגנוב.
כן, אבל רק מה שהשביח.
הבנתי, אבל זה גנוב.
אבל רק על השבח.
ומה עם ה-10,000?
מה?
ומה עם ה-10,000
צריך להחזיר לנגנב.
5,000 לא?
לא.
בן אדם שקנה מוצר, המוצר הזה השביח.
גמרא, by Rava, so Rava comes and he asks, Hishbiach lokeach mahu. What happens now if it's not the gazlan, but rather it's the lokeach? Everyone understood what happened? One more time. Yeah, Hishbiach lokeach mahu. Yeah? What happens now if he was mashbiach the lokeach, not the gazlan, the lokeach? What's halacha? So he comes and he says, Batar de bayash adar pashta. After he asked the question, he answered it. Ma machar rishon l'sheni kol zechut shetavo liyado. He says when he sells, so he's selling all the zechuyot that come to his hands. So therefore, since the right to the gazan himself, he had a zechut in the chefetz, that if there's going to be shevach ba'atid, it's his. So the lokeach also acquires the same thing. Meaning, if the lokeach buys from a gazlan, and now he comes and he appreciates the value, the same thing. It belongs to the lokeach. Because the lokeach takes all the rights of the seller. So now the gazlan had this rights, so he also has this rights. So ask the Gemara, by Rava asks, what happens if it's a goy that comes and he does this? And he appreciates it. So Elmaleh Ravacha medifti Ravina says Ravacha medifti Ravina, what's the doubt? He says, right? Takanta lovet kochavim meku v'naved. He says, what? We're going to start making a takana for the tovata gazlan lovet kochavim? For sure not. The only reason why we made such a takana, right? Takanat chachamim actually made that he's koneh the shevach in order to be meodedoto to do teshuvah. You understand? Meaning like this. Imagine the guy comes and he steals. He invests in it and he made it worth from 10,000 to 15. Now you're going to come to him and you're going to say, listen, you want to do teshuvah? You know what? Yeah, I'm thinking of doing teshuvah. Give back the car. He says, what? I just invested my time, energy. I just made it worth from 10 to 15. And that was a small. I could take a property, right? And you take the property, then you come and you start renovating. You invested even 100. Now it's worth of it. Now you're going to tell me now that all the shevach goes straight back to the guy? You think the guy's going to do teshuvah? The rabbis made a special institution. No, takanat shavim, in order that the guy should be able to do teshuvah, give him back only the value. The value, everything, the appreciation. But he says, well, we're going to do that for the goy also as well. For sure not. So Elmaleh, he says, Lo tzricha kigon de zavna liYisrael. He sold it to a Jew. Meaning the goy sold it to a Jew. That's the question. So says the Gemara, so still, it's still, if it's coming from the goy, it comes from the goy. So says the Gemara, Lo tzricha, what are we dealing with? Kigon de gazal Yisrael, right? The Yisrael sold it. He stole it. The zabna niale, and then he sold it to a goy. The Ishbicha oved kochavim. The oved kochavim came and he made it better. The hadar oved kochavim zabna Yisrael, and then the oved kochavim came and he sold it to Israel. So basically, what happened is that one more time, you had a property that belonged to a Jew. Another Jew comes and he steals. He comes and he sells it to the goy. The goy is the one that appreciates it in value. And then the goy comes and sells it to another Jew. So now the question is, the goy in the middle was the one that was mashbiach. So now what happens? That's the question. What happens now? Because the goy in the middle was the one that was mashbiach. That's it. Okay? So says the Gemara, right? So, Avahadar he said, and then it comes out, Avdi Rabbanan Takanta Udilma, given the right, since basically the question is, do we say that since Mikara is Israel and at the end of the Israel, so we still make this takana, or Dilma, or maybe given the since the goy is in the middle, there's no takana. Love the Rabbanan Takanta. We want to find out, do they make a takana or not? Who gets the shevach? What's going on now? So answers the Gemara, Teiku. Elanu tshuva. We don't have an answer. Yeah, no answer.
The goy don't get the shevach.
Well, the goy is selling it. Well, he already, for sure, he actually sold the shevach, that's for sure. He sold it with the shevach, right? So Amar Rav Papa comes and he says, what happens if somebody comes, right, and he steals a dekel from his friend and then he cuts it down? Even if he's going to take it down, he's going to put it from the other karka to his karka, Lokani is not going to acquire it. My time, what's reasoning? Mikara dikla mikle, right? He says, "Vehashta nama nami dikla mikre," meaning you didn't change anything. It's a dikla, it's a dekalda, it's a palm tree. What do I care whether the palm tree is in your reshut or my reshut? It's the exact same as the palm tree. So says the Gemara, dikla v'avid gube lo kane. If you came and you stole a dekel and you made from it bikaot, which is basically like pieces of wood, that means you went and you cut it until you made a piece of wood, right? Hashtad miat gube de dikla mikra. Here now it's called pieces of wood. Gube v'avdina kashure. Or if you came and you stole pieces of wood and you made from it like beams, kane, you're going to acquire it. Shure, ravna v'avdina kashure. If you had big beams, you made it to small beams. There you didn't acquire it. Avdinu kitzasitinu. But if you made from it, right, like krashim, planks of wood, that means you cut it into very thin pieces, there you are. So basically what we're talking about is that in order for you to be considered that you did a shinui, it has to be a substantial shinui that you're changing the name. Big beams to small beams is not enough. But if you made the, pieces of wood, right? Or for example, a trunk of a tree, and you made it into slivers of wood, and then you came and you made it into even that, yes, because each one is changing, right, in what it is. So Amar Rabba comes and he says, Haiman de gazel uliva v'dina hutze. If somebody steals the lulav and he made alim nifradim, that means he came and he separated it from the lulav, and then he made like separate things. So he's going to be koneh. Temikaru levi because at the beginning it's called the lulav, and now it's called hutze. Now it's called, right, hutze, alim. Hutze v'avdina chufya. If you stole the alim, and then you made a matate, you made a broom, right? Remember, they used to make brooms from palm trees, right? Especially when you see it, when the palm tree, that was the broom, right? So he says, you are going to, right? You are going to acquire it, because at the beginning it's called alim, and now it's called a matate. It's called a broom. If you stole a matate, and then you made from it like a chevel, that means you separated each one, you made like a long rope. Lo kani, you're not going to acquire it. My tamot's reasoning. The hadar satya lei have a chufya, because when you could always bring it back to the same original status quo, to back. It's a shinui chozer lebriyato. Remember, we said any type of a shinui which goes back to its original form, so you're not going to acquire it. So Rav Papa comes and he says, Nechlekat yomet mahu. What happens if you have a lulav gazul, and the tiomet, remember the tiomet is the middle branch, meaning when you look at the lulav, right, there's a green middle spine. That's called the tiomet. What happens if it's nechlekat tiomet, right, which means it's split? What is halacha? Is that considered shinuya koneh the lulav lagazlan or not? So Tashem Adam Rabbi Menturim Mishobelevi nitla tiomet pasul. If it's going to be taken off, which means it's going to be cut off, it's going to be pasul. Okay, so he comes and he says, Sadikvav Amubet 96b. My lover, we're not talking about huadin lenechleka. So that means not only if it's going to be, right, nitla. Nitla means it was cut off. The same halacha would apply also if nechleka, if it was split. Cut off means you cut it. There's nothing left. Nechleka means, right, that it's there, you just split in the middle. So is that going to be the same halacha? Says no. Nitla shane dechasale. Nitla is worse because it's lacking. Meaning once it's lacking part of the lulav, that's why it's going to be pasul. Ika damri, there are those that say tashama. Tamar be matunam lishom levi, says be matunam lishom levi. Nechleka tiomen naase kemishin nitla pasul. If it's going to be split tiomet, it's keilu that it's going to be taken off, and therefore it's going to be pasul. Shema mina. So that's what we actually learned. So there's an ika damri that says no, that really be'emet it's keilu, it's lacking. Meaning even though it was only split, it's keilu, it's lacking, and therefore it's going to be pasul. Next, Amar of Papa says, Haiman de gazel afra mechavre. If you steal afar from your friend, ve'avde lebinata, and you came and you made it with teeth and everything, and you made like a stone, lo kani, you're not going to acquire it. My tama, what's reasoning? Tahada mashal afra, because you could crush it back and make it back into the earth. Leventa v'avde afra, but if you had a stone and you made it into earth, kani, you do acquire it. Okay, why? Because you can't put it back to the stone. So says my matter, what are you talking about? Dilma hadar ve'ave. You could come and you could make a stone again. It says no, it's a new stone. And therefore, meaning when you come and you took afar and you made a stone, you could take the same stone and make it back into the far. It's the same thing. But when you had a stone and then you made it into a far, and then again you want to come and you want to make it back into a stone again, it's a new stone. And therefore it's panim chadashot ba'olekam. The Amar of Papa says, Haiman de Gazal Naska, you stole kesef from your friend. And you made That means you stole silver and you made coins. You're not going to acquire it. My time, what's reasoning? You could melt it back again and you could make it again, the same piece of silver. But if you stole coins and then you made it into silver, you do acquire it. Says the Gemara, but why? Maya Marta, how that you can make it still into the coins? Says no, it's a new coins. Meaning, when you're coming and you're taking the original object, right? For example, let's say the silver, and then you come and you made it into coins, you melt it, it becomes the exact same piece of silver. Right? There's no difference. When you're coming, you're taking a coin and you're making it silver, then you want to make it a coin again, you have to form a new coin. It's a new entity. It's panim chadasho ba'olakam. Next case, Rav Papa, right? The next case, shechim evavdinu chadte. If you stole matbeot, old matbeot, right? That they became all like black. It's a shachum, right? Black. Vavdinu chadte. You made them into new ones, right? That means you came, you put it in the fire, you minted it again. Lo kani, you're not going to acquire it, right? But he says chadte vavdinu shechim. But if you have new ones and you made them into black ones, you are acquiring it. My Marta, what did you say? Hadar velu chadte, you can make it new. He says no. Meida yedia shechai mayu. He says you could always tell, right, that it was already originally black. Meaning no matter how much you're going to try to make it new, you could always tell that it's not 100% new, right? It's like something that it's like refurbished. But you could always tell that it's not 100%. It's going to be a little tiny hair. You're not, unless it's going to be like a new out of box or new that, like that, it's never exactly the same. Okay? So this is, right, we're by the 2 dots now. Okay? So the Bava Kamma Daf, 2 dots. This is a general rule. All the gazlanim are going to pay according to Shat HaGezela. What is that coming to include? That is coming to include that which Rabbi says. Ganav taleh v'naaseh v'naasa ayil. If you steal a taleh and you made an ayil, it became an ayil. Mishuta ganav, right? Or egel v'naasa shor. Or right, naasa shinui biyado ukna'o. The shinui was made in your hands, and you acquire it. Tavachu machar, if you come and you do tvicha mechira, which is basically slaughtering or selling it, shalotove, it belongs to you. Shalom mocher, and it belongs to you. Which means the general rule is that if you came and you stole a tleh, and then it became an ayil or an egel and became a shor, you don't have to pay only right to the damav. Why? Because what he's trying to say is that at the end of the day, you acquired it because now it became a new entity. Okay? Mazal tov. Mazal tov. The gazel padana de Torah mechavre. There was a person that he stole a tzemet bakar from his friend. Azal karav behu karba, zara behu zara. So he went and he started plowing with it, right? And he started planting. Lesova at the end, adrinu l'mareh, he gave it back to the owners. So Atalek Rav Nachman, he came in front of Rav Nachman. Amalu, he says, Zilu shunu shivcha dashbach, right? Go and evaluate the shevach that he did with the shores. Meaning, right? Since he went and he stole the shores, right, from his friend in order to come and to plow and plant his own field. So he comes and he says, go evaluate how much did the field appreciate because of the work of the shores. Samale Rava Torij Ashbach, Aralo Ashbach. He says what? It was the shore that did it, and it wasn't the karka. Meaning the ox without the field is nothing. The field had to appreciate in value also. Amari says, Mika Bina Neshaimu Kule. So I didn't say that he's going to pay everything. He has to do half. Meaning, I want to find out how much is the appreciation. He should give half. Right? Elmaleh, he says, sof, gezelahu, because he says, what are you talking about? But he stole it, and he's giving it back the exact same way. Elmaleh, he says, didn't I tell you that when I'm in the bedin, don't tell me anything? Because our friend Rav Huna said, me and the Shavul Malka, which is Shemuel, are brothers in the din, which means we're equal in dinei mamonot, right? And therefore, don't start coming and start saying that I made a mistake. But now I'm already going to explain to you. You're right. Mitzad halacha, it's like what you're saying. But this guy is a gnav that everybody knows him already. And therefore I have to give him a knas. So I'm going to come and I'm going to give him a knas. Okay? There's a Mishnah. Tzadik Vav Amud Bet, the Mishnah. In Gazal be'ema v'izkina, if he stole an animal and it became elderly, b'shuta gazal, he waited and it became elderly. U'avadim v'izkinu, meshalem kishat gazela. He has to pay only b'shat gazela. Rabbi says, be'avadim, omer lo areshel chalafanecha. He says, no, he just gives it back. That means basically, according to the Tanna Kamma, he's saying he has to actually, pay the value of the eved and thing when he stole it. What do I care now that he became old? He became old in your property. It's your taflat, not my taflat. So you have to pay me like when it was young. Right? But according to the Rabbi, not by avadim, you could just say areshel chalafanecha. Gazal matbea and he's stuck. Perot v'yikivu. If you stole a matbea and it cracked, or fruits and it became bad, rotten, yain v'yichmitz, right? Meshalem keshat gzela. You have to pay keshat gzela. Matbea v'shenifsal. Truma shenitmet chametz avalav pesach b'ma v'nit'abda ba'avera. Right? What happens if a person stole a matbea and became pasul, meaning it went out of currency, or truma became tameh, chametz and shavar alav pesach b'ma, and there was then an avera with it, or nifsela legabe mizbeach, or shaita lisakel, or he had to be taken out to do sekila. Omer lo areh shelcha lefanecha. You could just say, take, it's yours, and that's it. Okay, we're gonna have to understand why. Says the Gemara. Amar Rav Papa, says Rav Papa, lo iskina, hiskina mamash. We're not talking about now when the Mishnah is talking about that iskina, the mamash that became iskina, ela afilu kachasha. That means not only it's mamash that became elderly, even if it became skinnier, which means that it became weak, right? It became weaker, same halacha. So says the Gemara, v'hanan tran iskina. What were you talking about? I thought we learned in the Mishnah iskina. So he says, no, kachasha kegon shi iskina, de lo adar bariyah. Right, kachasha has to be like iskina, that it doesn't go back. Meaning, once somebody becomes older, they can't become younger. Right? Unfortunately, they don't have that. Yeah, not yet. Yeah, but what does that mean? Once a person becomes older, they can't make it younger. So too, we're talking about kachasha, that it became weaker, that it cannot become back to its original briut.
Why you need kachasha? You cannot come back.
So any type of achasha that obviously you could bring it back to its original form, there's no problem. Here we're talking about that it's like elderly. You cannot bring it back to the original form. So Amale Mor Kashisha B'Redav Chasta says Mor Kashisha to the son of Rav Chasta to Rav Ashi Hachi Kamre Mishmed Rabbi Yochanan. This is what he said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Afilu Ganav Taleh. Even if a person is going to steal let's say like the young kid, yeah, Venase Ayil and becomes a ram, an egel, right, the calf, it becomes a shor. Nase Shinui Biyadok. No, the Shinui becomes in his hand. Therefore, he's going to acquire it. Tavachu Machar. If he's going to slaughter and sell it, it's his. Elmaleh, he says, didn't I tell you of Gabre? Right? Don't switch the names of the people that are saying it. How mishmed Rabbi Ilah? That was said in the name of Rabbi Ilah and the name of Yochanan. Meaning, it wasn't Rabbi Yochanan, it was Rabbi Ilah. So don't change the names. Yeah? Al takish, yeah? Al tavalbel ben shem echad l'shem sheni. Fine. 2 dots. Rabbi Meir says, Bavadim, you could just say, Areh shelcha lefanecha. What's going on? Amar v'chadin Baravdim Rav Alachazak Rabbi Meir. Rav Shavi Rabbanan, right? He says, I don't understand. Rav is going to leave the Rabbanan and is going to do like Rabbi Meir. You had a Tanna Kamma. Tanna Kamma is usually going to be Chachamim. Rabbi Meir is the second rabbi. You're going to tell me that they're going to do like Rabbi Meir and not like all the rabbis? You've got an entire group of rabbis. You're going to do like one rabbi? It doesn't make sense. Rav Shavi Rabbanan Vavi Rabbi Meir, right? So he says, Amri, they said, Mishum the Braita Ipchatanya. Because the Braita taught the exact opposite. Okay, which means that Rabbi Meir and Chachamim were the exact opposite. Rabbi Meir holds that by Avadim Iskinu Mishalem Kishat Gezelan Chachamim say Areh Shelcha Lefanecha. So because of that, they say we pass like Rabbi Meir in the Mishnah because it's like Rabbanan in the Braita. That means really be'emet we pass like Rabbanan, but in the Mishnah it was quoted as Rabbi Meir. So we say Alachak Rabbi Meir, but really be'emet it's like going like Rabbanan. Okay. So says the Gemara, Umaytama derav apich matniti mikamed Braita. Why are you changing then? Sorry. Says the Gemara, Rav Shavik matniti. I understand you're leaving the Mishnah and you're doing like a Braita. So he says, no, Rav matniti nami pchatani. In the Mishnah, it was always the opposite. So says the Gemara, my tama de Rav de apich matniti mikamed Braita. Why are you changing the Mishnah for the Braita? The opposite. Nepuch leBraita, change the Braita for the Mishnah. Meaning like this: what's better to change, a Braita or a Mishnah? Mishnah preceded, so it's much better to change a Braita and not to change a Mishnah. Leave the Mishnah the same way and flip the Braita. Don't flip the Mishnah. So says Amri, they said, Rav Nami Matidi B'Chatei. He also taught the Mishnah like that. If you can answer, Kilo Apich, when he's not going to actually come and change a Girsa, Chada Mikamechada, when it's 1 instead of 1. Meaning, if you have a Mishnah and you have a Braita, it's 1 against 1, don't change the Mishnah for the Braita, change the Braita. But, Chada Mikametarte Apich. But if you have 2 Braitas and 1 Mishnah, you do change the Mishnah for the Braita. Tanya, as we learned in another bright also, Machlif para bechamor v'yalda, chen mocher shivchato v'yalda, זה אומר בשותי ילדה וזה אומר על השותק, זה חבה, right? Which means like this. Somebody comes and he's going to be machlif para bechamor, or, and it has a child, or he sells a shivcha, and it has a child. One of them says, it was in my reshut, and the other one keeps quiet, because he doesn't know when to give birth. So you got it was mine, the child is mine, but he doesn't know, the other one doesn't know, so he keeps shatek, zachaba, he gets the child. But if each one says any yodea, yachloku, right? You divide it. Because each one says, I don't know when I gave birth. I don't know. My possession, your possession, I'm not really sure. So therefore, yachloku. If each one both says, my reshut, yishava mocher shebishto yolda. The mocher comes and he swears that it was in his reshut. Because all the nishbaim in the Torah, they swear and they don't pay. Well, these are the words that Rabbi mean. You never swear not on avadim and not on karkaot. So says the Gemara, it says 1 second. Here it should say that halacha is like Rabbanan. What's going on over here? So he says, this is what it means to say. Right? That which you guys are teaching in Shitat Rabbi Meir and Chachamim, the halacha is like Rabbi Meir, because right, what you guys say is Rabbi Meir is really Be'emet Chachamim, and therefore the halacha is like the Chachamim. And then obviously we're going to ask the question for tomorrow on Tzadik Zayin Amud Aleph.